Hello and welcome everybody. Looks like we are live, and once again it's the 29-minute Hangout. I'm here with, my name is Chef Doug DiMercurio. I'm here with my partner in crime and very good friend, Chef Katrina. And we have the great privilege tonight of introducing you to another chef and restaurateur with us. And so this is going to be a very special evening. We only have 29 minutes, so we go through the beginning of this stuff pretty quickly. Katrina, I'll let you take care of some of the dirty work here, and then let's go ahead and introduce our guest.
I always get stuck with the dirty work. It's awesome. All right, guys, welcome to the 29-minute Hangout. Super excited you guys are here. Rules and regulations of this is that, you know what, we're here to actually get into the mind of our guests. So if you have questions, if there's anything that comes up throughout this interview process and this, you know, this fun and excitement of 29 minutes, go ahead and ask your questions. You guys have access to that. You have access to interact and really make this a fun and entertaining and knowledgeable hangout. So super excited to be doing this. I'm going to have Doug do the introduction of our guest speaker since they know more about each other than I do. So I'm handing this back over to Doug. And Doug, if you'll do the quick introduction, that'd be awesome.
No, that's perfect. So yeah, I'm very honored to introduce our guest tonight, Mr. Michael Penny. Michael is another restaurateur. He's a barbecue master, and he's got an accent that's a little different than ours. So you can tell he's not from the north, but Michael is a master entrepreneur, and he really has kind of, you know, a lot of people talk about cracking the code and figuring out how to do this thing and how to make money from home. Well, he's working those 60+ hour a week hours in his restaurant business, and on the side he's building a legacy for himself and his family. And so it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Michael Penny. And Michael, you can tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got into this whole the online thing, but I know it was kind of the offline that brought you into the online. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this whole deal.
Doug, I appreciate it. And can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
All right. I appreciate both you and Katrina for having me on. I'm actually I'm feeling the blessing. A little bit about my background. 2007. I joined the network marketing industry. We had the big economy crash thing, and the real estate market went kaput, and I had some real estate then too. But my main gig was the restaurant, and I was in the midst of opening the second one when it happened, and man, it devastated me. And not only that, I knew that the chances of leaving my family a legacy, which they hadn't had until now, were slim and none during those times. Everybody was meek and meager, especially in my surroundings and those things. We've never seen anything like that before. Moving forward, though, we come out of it. I came into network marketing, and I really enjoyed it. I started offline. With the lack of time, I started finding out and digging into more online. That's when I ran into magnetic sponsoring. Wasn't too long after that, I joined a team which Doug was on, and Doug was actually my sponsor in a lead generation program that we were in at the time. And here we are now. I finally figured it out how to do it offline, and I'm going to bring it in online.
Yeah, there you go. So tell us a little bit more about that. When you say I figured out how to do it offline and then bring it online, what do you mean by that? Offline, hotel meetings, those kind of things, I never really enjoyed those. Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard a lot of stuff said. I mean, I enjoy like the No Excuse event that just recently I've been to one of those. I've been to a Live to Dream event. Those things, those generic trainings where you actually learn how to do this business, this home-based business online. I've gotten more from those than I have from somebody saying the same thing just with a different company doing a PowerPoint presentation in front of a couple hundred people or 50 people. It just depends on what kind of event it is.
Um, so over time, I learned how to do belly-to-belly presentations and get people to sign up. And it took a while. I mean, fear was a big part of it. You know, I'm used to serving people 2 minutes at a time in the restaurant business, so it was a lot different to spend extra time without having the time, you know, belly to belly. But I figured it out, but it was real slow. So moving forward, I took a break from it in 2011, and I came back in 2012, and I just started hitting it hard. What I figured out was um, forum marketing. Forum marketing online is a lot about uh, communities and groups of people talking together about the same issues, the same problems, those kind of things. Well, I started looking at communities in my surrounding area, and actually they had like social groups where those people were doing the same thing. Um, so I would figure out a way to get in front of those people, either myself with the content, not necessarily the opportunity, but with the content, help solve those problems. And they would in turn ask me about the opportunity. And it got real fun and easy.
Right. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and but it also sounds like you're kind of holding back a little bit from you know what you did. I mean, talk a little bit more specifically.
Okay,
or give us an example of how you did that.
One of the most recent events that I did was over in a neighborhood called South Bend. It's about 1,500 homes. A lot of the group that I was interjecting in through social media were, you know, trying to get it, you know, the soccer moms, the golfing buddies, a lot of them, you know, big surrounding area. So a lot of them were trying to get healthy. So what I did was, I'm not a health expert. I do know a little bit about nutrition from the restaurant business and being a chef. Mm-hmm. But what I did was hired Peter Greenlaw to come, and he gave a 2-hour seminar on nutrition and health. Mm-hmm. Okay? At the tail end of it, he just talked about an opportunity for about 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And we were at the back table when they came to us, where we presented the opportunity.
Okay, great. So the opportunity is the company that you're in, and we don't have to go into those specifics, but that's great. So I mean, he talked about an opportunity to create a better lifestyle for yourself and to create a legacy and what, you know, I mean, you just figure out and you know what the hot buttons are for.
Right. Yep. You know, I dig into my little treasure chest and just pull out, you know, the answer to their hot buttons.
Sure.
You know, another big event I did in September where I actually signed up the most people was a group of a community in a group talking about paying student loans and college tuitions for their kids. Mm-hmm. And you know, I mean, I signed up 45 people in one night that weekend. And yeah. Again, I don't know anything about paying student loans other than my own kids. But I got an expert.
Right. Okay. So that's perfect. So I mean, this is really a golden nugget. So now, I mean, you've shared, you know, some of the insights into what you're doing offline, and anybody could do this locally. And the interesting thing about what you're talking about is that I could start doing this today in my local market, and it's not going to affect you one bit, right?
Nope, not at all.
I mean, your people they're not going to have a clue who I am, and the people I'm talking to, they're never going to have heard of you, and that's how big the ocean is. It's like, you know, you're just, you know, dipping your little cup into your seashore there, and I'm way down the coast, and you know, it's nobody the heck knows that there's even a ripple in the water up where you are, but you're pulling in more fish than you can imagine. And so what's interesting to me, and I think what a lot of people would like to know, is that so you've done this in the offline world, and how do you intend to, and how do you translate this to the online world? Really, it's the same procedure. It's just now, you're going to do the same things. It's just you've got to get in front of those groups in a different way. So how do you do that?
Absolutely. Well, again, I open my little treasure chest. I go into these groups and these forums. I've started practicing already. That's how I popped up on the leaderboard recently. Is I just go into these groups and forums, and I start talking and building relationship with these people over the internet. And when they present their hot button to me, all I do is frame my response to them around what they told me they needed.
Right. And so I guess to what I would be curious about, because I know you're probably talking about maybe a series of 6 or 8 questions.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And so if I were in one of those forums and I just said, you know what, Michael, yeah, I'm looking for a way to make some extra money because I don't know how I'm going to retire, what would your response be?
Well, my first response would be to ask you a question and simply, what dollar figure do you have in mind?
Right. And so one of the key points there is the first thing that you do is not offer a suggestion, but you ask a question.
Right.
And that's going to be what you do. No matter what I say, you're going to ask a question, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's a huge tip for everybody here is that, the secret to all of this, kind of the secret to life in a way, is ask questions, right? So if I said, well, heck, I'm coming close to collecting Social Security, I only need to make a couple $1,000s a month. What do you recommend?
What do I recommend? Absolutely. What you're telling me, what I hear you saying, Doug, is that you're looking for a couple extra $1,000s a month. Would it be of interest to you if I told you that I know a group of people that are doing that?
Yeah. So I say, well, yeah. Who's going to say no to that, right?
Yeah, you can't say no.
Yeah, you can't say no. And I say, well, yeah, of course. So so how do I find out about that?
Well, Doug, do you have 2 to 3 minutes? Just 2 to 3 minutes I can do a presentation. When would you have 2 to 3 minutes that I can have your full attention?
Yeah, you bet. Right now sounds good.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, Doug, I got to ask you 2 questions. What could you use more of or less of in your life right now?
Could I use more of or less of? I need more money. I already told you that.
That's right. Okay.
I could use less. I could use less bills.
You could use less bills. Absolutely. Okay, Doug. Well, and you just go from there, and you give them 2 or 3 minutes, and you set up a belly-to-belly conversation.
Yeah. And so then you have them watch the presentation.
That's right.
Okay. And so, you're doing the same thing online is what you're talking about. And by going into forums and things like that, but I'm sure you're looking to ramp this up and start generating some leads online. Is that correct? I've got the sense from you that that's where you're going, is the next step for you.
Absolutely.
And so what's your favorite strategy for generating leads online?
Right now, my favorite strategy is blogging.
Okay.
I don't know nothing about copywriting or anything like that. I just know how to be a simple person to help people with simple needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I just tailor my blog posts to meet those.
Yep. So and you've been blogging for a while. So
Absolutely.
But I know you. You're not a real techie guy. You understand it, but you're not one of these. You're not a geek.
No, absolutely not a
techno geek by any means.
No,
and so
I can't sit still that long.
So that's great. And So, so in terms of blogging, I mean, so what's kind of your daily routine? I mean, I know you're still working. You're about to, you know, a lot of people go in to fire their boss. You're going in to fire yourself.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and so, but up until this point, I mean, you've been working more hours than most people do in your regular job, and you've been doing this online marketing thing in the extra hours that you find, and the on the online side of things, you've also been showing up on the leaderboards for this, you know, certain affiliate programs and so on, in terms of generating leads and making sales online. So, what are your suggestions for people on how to make that happen online when you're working more than full time?
Yeah. Well, you know, we started the Hangout, and we talked about legacy, and that's what it's been for me, is finding the time to set aside my restaurant business, which is after a 12 to 14-hour day, to kiss my wife, hug my kids, put them, you know, make sure they're in bed, everybody's happy, and set aside that time to do my keyword research, and then compile those keywords research and create a plan to create content around those keywords and move it out with a call to action.
Right.
Easing articles, blog posts, getting ready to crack open videos, but for me, the biggest time is, you know, being disciplined enough to take that 2.5, 3.5 hours every evening to get those things done consistently. So, I mean, legacy is about consistency and not giving up until you reach that point where you can actually hand it off. You know, my 18-year-old son's about to go to college next year, and you know, he doesn't have to pay a bill. He doesn't have to worry about those things. He only has to worry about, you know, creating his own family legacy.
Sure. So he's seen you go through this and, you know, put in, you know, the endless hours in the restaurant business, and then start building another stream of income, you know, on the side, essentially. What's been his perception of what you're doing?
His perception is he's actually followed in my footsteps on the home-based business front. He's really big into music. He plays several instruments. He sits first chair in the county and state for the bassoon, and he's doing affiliate marketing with music.
Awesome. Awesome. So you've already taught him, you know, how to figure this out, and so he's already, you know, created his own business, and he's making an income before he's starting college.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's just so, it's a skill he'll never lose, and he'll always be set. So Katrina, I've been doing a lot of talking and a lot of asking the questions, and you're probably bubbling over with questions. So I want to give you the opportunity to ask Michael some things, and I can listen into his charming accent.
No, you've kind of gone around some of the questions I had. I'm just curious, and I know a lot of our listeners and our viewers are curious. You talked about going out and finding these groups and finding these forums. How did you go about finding local groups? Like, was there a service you found? Was there a website you found? Like, how did you find these local groups?
It actually started with a friend of mine. He lives in a neighborhood that's adjacent to South Bend called Riverwood Athletic Park, and he was telling me almost weekly about this group of people on Facebook in his neighborhood, and they actually created a group just for their neighborhood, and you know, that's how I started finding them.
So you were just asking people what groups they're involved in, and then just kind of following them on Facebook?
Yep, absolutely. And I'd interject in conversation, build rapport, and then I would show up at, you know, they'd have a meeting about it. I would show up there, handshake, politic, kiss babies.
Bring them barbecue?
Absolutely. Hey, sweet tea and barbecue goes a long way.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
very true.
Yeah, I
So,
can't.
so then you talked about like bringing in experts. I mean, were these people that you knew that are inside your MLM company that are coming in to speak on their behalf, or just people you're just like, hey, at the end of this, can you throw this in? Like, how did you get them to talk about your company?
Well, Chef, I mean, Katrina, you actually, way back at the beginning of when I joined y'all's group, you actually spilled the beans for me on me. I mean, I've had a couple of experts that were in my MLM, but um, don't be afraid to ask. I mean, you go out and you find them and you ask them.
Yeah. So that's a little bit puzzling to me. I mean, because it sounded to me like you had a group that had a need for information on a specific topic that had nothing to do with your opportunity or whatever. So you found an expert to come in and talk to them, and then kind of related what they were going through to an opportunity for something else. Am I accurate there? Does that make sense?
That's really close. Yes.
Okay. So
I mean,
give me an example, but not your example, but something that we could use to share. Because, like I said, I mean, you're down the coast from me, and I'm not even going to see the ripple in your
right.
ocean. But
Right.
this is something that's going to be of huge value to the people that are listening to what we're talking about right now.
Well, okay. Physical fitness. How many people do you know that are looking for expert advice on being physically fit or wanting to be trained? And I'll go ahead and throw this out there. Mark Jenkins, world-renowned celebrity trainer. Okay, he's trained Beyonce, Mary J. Blige. I sent him an email.
Okay.
3.5 weeks later, he shows up.
So does he live in your area?
No, absolutely not. He lives in Maryland. He does most of his training in New York, and the two of us are actually getting ready to hit a big community in Louisiana. So
Awesome.
we're branching out a little bit.
Yeah. So
that's
cool.
Send him an email.
Yeah.
He wasn't affiliated with any product, so at first I recruited him.
Okay. Okay. So perfect. So you're reaching out to essentially what you would consider a celebrity, and a lot of other people do as well. Yeah. And saying, hey, you know what? I've got something you might want to take a look at.
Yep.
Or whatever. I mean, how did you approach that? I mean, this is a great topic, because how would you approach somebody? I mean, that's basically a cold call.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a cold call, but I sent him an email basically saying that I noticed he didn't have a published, so I knew he was easy to reach. Most of the time, them people are surrounded with a fortress of folks that you never really get to them. So I knew he was easy to reach, so I knew he was down to earth. I just simply complimented him for that. He opened the door for communication from that email, and we had a couple of phone conversations. I drove up to Maryland one Monday and presented him, and we had dinner, and he worked me out till I couldn't walk.
No wonder you're losing weight. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah. And we set it up. We've actually got the rest of the year planned out, and Colgate's actually going to back us on it. And there's another couple of companies that are coming in too. So
perfect. No, that's awesome. So, Katrina, you can continue asking questions here.
No. Now I've got questions that I have, but they're for later. So you talked. So I mean, you're working crazy hours. I mean, you're working 12 to 14 hours. I mean, I know what it's like to be in a kitchen. I mean, you're definitely working some long hours in there. And then you talked about like spending a little bit of family time, and then just committing to those 3 hours daily. So I mean, are you just going into forums and then just writing your blog post and just sticking to a certain regimen for?
My routine is Monday and Tuesday after cure all the keyword research and any content research that I need to do. And then Wednesday through Sunday, I just stick the content out there and join the forums and build rapport.
Okay.
And Facebook groups. That's
So
why
you're
you're.
taking.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Nope.
That's why your thing the other night with Pinterest really, I was really that sunk a hook in me.
I can see that you're like, gobbing at the bit. You're like, ooh, wait, what can I do here? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
I love it.
So before our time gets away from us, I'm going to ask you the dreaded question, and that is, tell us something about you that no one else has ever heard before.
Something about me that no one else has ever heard before. I started my restaurant business at minimum wage.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
what does that mean?
Washing dishes and cleaning pig cookers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did that too, and yeah, I mean that's a lot of the guys that make it to the top actually started by doing the grunt work at the beginning. But tell us something else about you that no one else has ever heard. Maybe your wife hasn't even heard before.
Oh my goodness.
Told you he's good at this. You can prepare for this question all day long, and it still.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I had all these great plans a while ago to really nail this, and now I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. That's the 29-minute hangout way of doing things. Everybody goes through this. Like we get 30 seconds of dead silence. So
sweet. You can hear a pin drop, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
In the second grade, man, I proposed to my teacher. My wife probably doesn't know that one.
All right, that's awesome. And was she already married?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you got off the hook easy. She had an easy excuse. Good for you. That's great. I mean, I don't know how many of us didn't have a crush on one of our teachers in grammar school. So that's good for you. I mean, that takes some courage to do that.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
But it's courage he seems to keep having, because if he's going out there and contacting all these different experts out there, and he's like, hey, what do I got to lose? You're going to say like yes or no? I mean, that's what it's about. Take a little risk, and these risks tend to pay off pretty big if you go for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll tell you about another risk I take. Well, I don't do it anymore, but when I first joined MLM, this is a quick goodie right here before everybody gets gone. Come out of doing a belly presentation, happened to look 2 doors down. I started doing this. Happened to look 2 doors down. There's at least 20 to 30 cars. I don't know whose house it was, who was there whatsoever. I just knew I had to get in that door and start talking to them people. And usually in about a half hour, 45 minutes, I'm doing a presentation.
So there you go. Man, I bet you sold a lot of vacuums when you were younger.
Uh-huh.
I could have. I did pretty good with a newspaper route.
Newspaper route? Okay, there you go. There you go.
So we're down to our last 20 seconds here, Michael. Where can people find you, to follow you, to connect with you? Where can they get some more information on your blog, that kind of stuff? So where's a good place to find you online?
Online is Facebook, Michael-Penny.com, and Google Plus. Now, I don't know that much about Google Plus. I plan on picking y'all's brain about that one. I want to learn more, but I'm definitely there. I'm going to have more of a presence there as well, because it seems to be a little bit wide open as far as the social scene goes.
Oh, yes.
Yep. There's a lot of advantages, and to every platform has its its pluses and minuses and advantages. Google is the gorilla in the search engine realm, and so they're also one of the gorillas as far as just the internet in general. And they've got lots of dollars that they can throw at the Google Plus side, and just the fact that we're doing this Hangout on Google Hangouts is a good indication of some of the things that they offer that a lot of other other social media platforms or other platforms in general don't offer. So there's a lot to it. Yes.
I'm not going to cut you off, but we are over 29 minutes now. So I want to make sure that. So, Michael, thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening, guys. If you want to catch the replay of this one, catch him on iTunes at the 29-minute Hangout, and he'll be present there. If you guys want to join us for more 29-minute Hangouts with other guest speakers and internet marketers, then join us next week and like our Google Plus page, Elite Marketing Chef. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Michael, a pleasure. Thank you so much. Doug, you want to sign off real quick?
I'll end the broadcast and stick around for a minute, Michael. We'd like to talk to you. Thanks.
All right.